safety inspected, and most all are one-owner vehicles from our great customers. The best used cars come from the best new cars. See our amazing inventory 24 hours a day at MatLaFontaine.com or call 348-5451 for an appointment today.
Make it great, make it better at MatLaFontaine Automotive.
The five-man electrical jam. Tesla. Tesla. Coming at you live Friday, March 15th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $44 and are on sale now at the box office and online at etix.com. Party hard, rock harder. Tesla. Friday, March 15th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Good morning, Northern Michigan, and welcome to Friday Faceoff here on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport TVC. Jerry Coyne, Chad Patterson in studio, Rich Calkins at his daughter's wedding, Chad, so it's just you and I.
It's just you and I, head-to-head, facing off. That is right, on the Friday Faceoff. Congratulations to the Calkins family as they celebrate their daughter's wedding, and it has been a weird week in sports. Most definitely a lot of upsets in college basketball, and of course everybody getting fired up for the combine coming up, and still talking about the NFL. I know Rich isn't here, but
well, I was just going to say Rich is definitely at his daughter's wedding. He is not heading to Indianapolis. But I think we have to start off with you weren't able to listen to the game because you were doing a game, but a huge Red Wings victory over the Avalanche.
I did watch the highlight of that game winner, though, and that was a beautiful play started by Lyon to Sherratt up to, of course, Dylan Larkin and the behind the back.
Yeah.
And Kane has really come on. We got 12 players, Jerry, now with over 10 goals on the team. They're spreading it around. They're spreading the wealth. And
but Kane's only done it in 21 games.
Yeah, and Kane is going to be right there toward the top at the end of the season, I believe. They got the first wild card. They got 2 games in hand on the Tampa Bay Lightning, I believe. So they are looking really, really good for a playoff spot. And how many years has it been?
9.
9
think
years.
it's 9.
So they're playing well.
Yeah, I was reading an article today, Chad. Last year, you weren't part of the show. Keith, Rich, and I. The Wings were 1 point out of the wild card as we approached the trading deadline. What were the Wings going to do? Unfortunately, they got swamped in the last 2 games before the trading deadline. So Yzerman didn't make any moves. In fact, he shipped a couple of guys out of town and pretty much killed any thought that the Wings would have to reach the playoffs. Now they were at 62 points at this stage of the game. They're at 66 now. So it'll be interesting to see if there is a move to be made by the Wings. We talked about this last week, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Listening to the Wings and watching the highlights and everything else. The one thing that is keeping the Wings from being an outstanding hockey team, like a scary hockey team, is a superstar. Now, Kane is past his superstar status. I mean, he can play to that level a little bit. I wouldn't put DeBrincat in that category. Dylan Larkin is not a superstar. He is a very fine
Solid
hockey
player. Yep,
really
absolutely.
good team captain.
You're
But
saying they don't have an Austin Matthews. Is that what
we never got any of that draft lottery luck. But there's not a Lindstrom. There's not an Yzerman. There's not a Shanahan. I mean, hell, when the Wings were fantastic, we had 3 or 4 of those guys on the roster all the time. So can this Wings team be like the Larry Brown Pistons team that did not have a
That's
superstar?
a good comparison. I love that comparison because those teams, man, that was the last true team, I think, to win an NBA championship. And I get excited watching this Red Wings team because they are solid from top to bottom.
Yeah.
But solid is the word, right? It's not like we said, it's not an Austin Matthews, it's not Connor McDavid. It is a bunch of guys who, Patrick Kane was one of those guys in his day, but not anymore. I believe in them. I believe if they get their ticket punched, anything could happen in the playoffs. They could make a run because they have solid players.
Well, everybody
on their team.
that comes over the boards can play. There's not a drop off. Sometimes the fourth line is looked like, well, it's the grind line, right? Well, other than our number 1 line, which is kind of gets mixed up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Alon changes that up a little bit. The consistency of the hockey team is remarkable because most other teams there is a drop off in their 3rd and 4th lines or their 3rd defensive pairing. We really don't see that with the Wings, and at this stage of the game, it's going to be all about Lang. Can he continue to keep the puck out of the net?
Yeah.
I mean, they kept a huge, this first or second best offense in the league down to 1 goal last night.
Yeah, 30 saves, and he moved back into the top 10 in save percentage last night.
Yep.
Doing a good job. I think you just made a great point, though, when you said Lalonde kind of mixes up that top line. You can do that when you have a bunch of consistent players. You can mix up the ingredients a little bit and still get a good cake or a good pie. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing to have. That's a good problem to have. Yes, of course you'd like to have a superstar. Everybody would. But you know what? I'll take a bunch of guys that are in double figures in goals. 12 guys.
Yeah,
that's consistent. And man, how about that Sherratt? That pairing between Sherratt and Petrie is really coming on. They're playing really well back there, and their defense, which has been an issue the last few years, is really coming on, and they're really giving them some consistency back there.
I was shocked,
and that's helping Lyon.
I was shocked at the lack of scoring in last night's game. I gave that out as the bet of the day of going
I
over
heard that, yeah.
going over 6.5. So we didn't even get close to that. Although I did predict a Wings victory, and the other thing is the fan base is really starting to sniff it.
Yeah.
They at the game last night, of course, they played the requisite Darren McCarty beating the hell out of Claude Lemieux. Got let's go Red Wings.
Which never gets
chance.
old.
Never gets old.
Nope.
Never gets old.
It never gets old.
I don't know which one of my brothers has that poster signed by Darren that's got him, beating the hell out of the turtle. And you got to protect the family is what Darren signed on that thing. And so, it's get in right now. Now they've got to punch their ticket. You never know where it's going to go. We keep prefacing the fact that Yzerman said very famously last year, well, if we get in, we're the last team in, and we got to play the Bruins. And of course, the Bruins lost to the Panthers. And look at what that's done to the Panthers. I mean, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Very good. And, the Red Wings, I mean, I don't have the record in front of me, but they've played the Bruins tough this season.
Yeah.
So they are not, it's not like they get in there and go, ooh, the Boston Bruins.
Well, they just beat the Avalanche. The Avs have, the second best record in the West. And they've beaten all the teams they need to beat. The question is, can they continue to do it? I mean, there's some very interesting teams playing great hockey right now. The Rangers have won 8 in a row.
Well, in a best-of-7 series. And, tomorrow they got the much-improved St. Louis Blues, and the Blues are not going to be easy to beat either. It doesn't get easy. I mean,
the Blues are right in the same position as the Red Wings.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say.
I think they're in the second wild card spot on the West, so you got to continue to win. No team in hockey right now can afford a 4-game losing streak. None of them. The Wings, the Bruins, no matter what, because the other teams are all moving up.
Well, and that's what you were just talking about, the fan base smelling it. How about the players? The players can smell it, and so you're getting a hungry team every single night. It's coming down to that point in the season where they need to win. So
well, it would be nice to see a Little Caesars Arena become a home field advantage. In the interviews that I read about yesterday, that's what some of the guys are starting to talk about. All the seats are filled in the third deck up there,
nice.
Which is there's not a bad seat at the LCA, but when Hockey Town is rocking. You don't want to come knocking and trying to get.
It's the best place in the world to be. I mean, I've only been to one playoff game in my life, and it was 1995. Cicerelli had a hat trick against the Dallas Stars. It was the play. I mean, that was Joe Louis, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, the roof was coming off that place. It was insane, and they're rabid. They're rabid fans. It's probably out of our 4 major sports teams, I don't know if you'd agree with me. I think it's the most rabid fan base is that Hockey Town fan base.
Maybe. I mean, we saw what the Lions can be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
I think that feeds into the Red Wings.
Well, I
season
think
right
so.
Now too.
I mean, I'm out there talking about the Tigers right now, and people are like, "What are the Tigers going to be like?" Well, I said, everybody's piggybacking a little bit off of the Lions' success. If the Red Wings step into this space and get into the playoffs, win a series or so,
it's contagious.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I don't think it's going to pull the Pistons out of their mire right now, but hope springs eternal. We'll talk a little bit more about the Tigers here during the show, but the Red Wings are starting to put some grins on a lot of people's faces. And we're blessed to have them here right on Up North Sports Radio.
And it's good to see again. I mean, like we were spoiled. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
We were so spoiled in the 90s and into the 2000s, and with all those great teams and all those great players, and the jerseys that we all had, and the octopi flying. I mean, it was a great time.
Yeah. And all the jerseys you'd see on the road.
Yeah.
All the Detroit transplants that are scattered throughout the league, and they'd have a home ice advantage no matter where they skated.
Those Anaheim playoff games were
start
crazy.
To see that again. You
Yeah.
start to see all of that again. Talk about the spoiled fan base, and now it's coming back around because I knew a lot of guys that had season tickets at the Joe. And I could get tickets whenever I want because they go, I don't go until the second round of the playoffs. I'm like, we've seen this act before.
I don't play the Powerball unless it's,
it's
500 million.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. But now, the thirst is there. And it's, let's keep stacking those wins, keep healthy. That's going to be, that's obviously huge in any professional sport. Health is a major contributing factor. Kane has exceeded all expectations. There was a lot of examples when they first signed him. A few other guys doing this resurfacing of the hip that have been nothing. That it just never worked out. They couldn't skate. Kane has been a medical miracle.
Well, I remember you explaining exactly what that surgery was on the show, and that's the kind of surgery when you hear about it, you go,
yeah.
So just watching him play, I mean, just watching him hit that one-timer last night, you're like, how is he even out there skating? And it's so great to see, but I'm glad he's skating for us.
There's no doubt. He does not look too far off of the player that he was in Chicago. I guess that what I would consider to be the biggest difference is that he just doesn't have nearly the same ice time.
Yeah, and the strength. Hopefully, the strength gets better, and he keeps giving a little bit more. But having that relationship, obviously, you saw it last night. I mean, that pass. I mean, Larkin had eyes in the back of his head.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a feel, and they're going to get to know each other even better. The familiarity is going to be there.
I mean,
so
the way he works with DeBricken is fun to watch. But I mean, they know each other for quite some time. So we've got the Blues tomorrow. That's part of the doubleheader that we sent our winners to. So
that's a noon start,
yep.
and that's
and then the Pistons are in at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
So we sent Terry Baker and his wife down there. In fact, they should be getting on a plane at Cherry Capital Airport in just a little bit to fly down and have the one of the great sporting experiences you can have in Detroit.
What an awesome opportunity! Congratulations, Terry, you and your whoever you're taking. I mean,
they got the Blackhawks coming up very, very soon. Then they got Nashville, and they're out in Colorado. They have a very interesting 3-game road trip coming up here next week, or a week and a half, Chad. They go to Colorado. So, the Avalanche will be out for blood.
Oh, yeah.
Then they play at Phoenix, which the Coyotes are a middling hockey squad. But then they play the Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights. Three games in 4 nights out on the all they need to win. I mean, they lose 2 of the 3 out of there, and they're taking a step backwards.
Yep, and you can't do that. When is the trade deadline?
I think it's the 8th.
Okay, so, and we don't want to put Stevie in that situation where he's like, you just lost 3 straight games.
We're not making the move. But even if they don't make a move, he's not going to be moving anybody out of this team.
No, chemistry's good.
Yeah,
and we just talked about the consistency and the mixing of the right players and matching, and they're getting their defensive pairings the way they want them now. And I don't, and of course we talked about this with the Lions, right? Like Dan Campbell and Brad were like, we don't want to mess with the chemistry.
Yeah.
Even though we
Everybody
all wanted
was
Chase
like,
Young.
what are you doing?
Yeah, we really wanted Sweat or
we
Young,
we want Young.
But yeah, it's gotta. I mean, if somebody's out there and they can make a deal for him, though, I'm all for it.
Well, I don't know. I have to take a look at. I haven't seen the rumor boards. I don't know if there is a superstar that can maybe put the wings on the top. I mean, there might be a couple of guys out there, but there are also a number of other teams are not going to be are going to be wanting to make moves because this is it. I mean, you only get so many kicks at the can.
And other teams might have better assets as well. But I will tell you this, regardless of the trade deadline or the offseason, the Red Wings are making themselves a more attractive team to free agents, most definitely, because they're probably seeing the chance that they gave Patrick Kane after the surgery. They're seeing how well they're playing together in Hockey Town.
Well, Kane had his options. There was 6 or 7 teams that were bidding for his services, and he picked the Wings. Some of that had to do with DeBrincat.
Yep.
Some of it has to do with the fact that he's an American kid, and the Red Wings are one of the
original 6.
The gold standard.
Yep.
Even though it's been a long time since they haven't made the playoffs, they are one of the gold standards. So exciting stuff. When we return, Chad and I will talk about some Tiger baseball. There's a few other topics. College basketball. Why can't great teams win on the road. Unbelievable stuff going on in college basketball
kidding.
as we head towards March. Back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. It's time for Destination NFL. Kevin Klein from Cherry Capital Airport.
Listen, do you hear that? That's the sound of wide open spaces at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. The sound of laughter coming from the Alpine Tubing Park. The sound of splashing in the pool. The sound of shushing down Shush Mountain. Here we go outside to play. When it's time for you to enjoy the wide open spaces of northern Michigan, Shanty Creek will be there to welcome you with over 275 lodging options, 42 downhill ski and snowboard runs, and plenty of outdoor fun in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
It's time to get away to your dream destination. Beat the winter and fly TVC to Sun and Sand. Looking for your spring break getaway? Book today. Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United are getting you where you want to go. Visit tvcairport.com for up-to-the-minute flight schedules.
Home sweet home, right? You've spent a lot more time there in the last 3 years, and you may even work from home now. You check smoke detectors, furnace filters, and for carbon monoxide. Have you checked your radon levels? Radon is the leading cause of lung cancer behind smoking. Radon is an odorless radioactive gas present in all homes, and no family should be at risk when you can reduce your radon exposure. Test now, test regularly. Learn where to get a test kit at michigan.gov/radon. Sponsored by Eagle and MAB.
Time for Destination NHL. Jerry Coyne is on the phone with Kevin Klein, who's doing airport business. Kevin, want to give a shout out to Terry Baker and his wife Valerie, who are headed down to DTW from LCA, from TVC this morning, and they're going to see that great doubleheader on Saturday. The Wings at noon and the Pistons at 7 o'clock.
Oh, what a great opportunity they're going to have to enjoy all of Detroit sports in one day. And, you know, a great flight, flying Delta Airlines out of TVC, that will get them nonstop. And really, I think the flight's about 37 minutes down to Detroit, and then we'll bring them back home on Sunday. So what better way to go to enjoy all things Detroit sports.
Yeah, they're very excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they're very excited. They haven't been in Detroit in a long time, and they're going to see a much different city than it was 10 years ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, when, you know, Little Caesars Arena, I've been there a couple times for some Red Wings action, and I just love it. There's not that every seat in the house has a great vantage point to the ice. I've even sat all the way back up in the last row against the back wall, and so there's one of the best seats in the house. So yep. I tell you, that's a great arena.
Well, I want to give a shout-out to you at Cherry Capital Airport, at Delta Airlines, and the Illich Entertainment Company for providing the tickets. They're going to have a great time. And speaking of great time, in a week and a half, you can fly out from Cherry Capital Airport to Las Vegas to see the Wings take on the Golden Knights.
Yeah, absolutely. For less than $600, you can get out there, enjoy the game. You know, we talked about it before in that multi-leg facet with Colorado and Phoenix and everything else. And so, you know, it's a great opportunity to hit all those cities and plan your booking well in advance. And if you do that, I think we priced it out when it was like 3 weeks in advance before for, you know, a little over $1,000. You know, last minute now, it's probably a little closer to $3,000. But, hey, that's what planning's all about, you know. And so, you know, looking forward to the schedule going for, you know, you got Nashville coming up, you've got Carolina, you got D.C., you know, all great cities for very inexpensive if you're booking ahead of time.
Yeah, as the Red Wings make that push to the playoffs, you know, really cool to be on the road with the team and a lot of fans. And you know how well Red Wings fans travel or just show up. When they're playing on the road, you see a ton of people wearing their Red Wings gear. So you can be all part of that. All you got to do is go to tvcairport.com to find out what airline is flying where and start your dream Red Wing trip.
Absolutely. And you know what? I hope we're talking here as we go towards playoffs that we're going to have all kinds of new destinations here as we talk about. But as I talk about new destinations, Jerry, one of the things that we just released this week for the summertime is Houston on United Airlines.
Yes.
United Airlines is flying nonstop to Houston, Texas on Saturdays starting June 29th to August 17th. And we'll continue looking to build upon that in 2025. But it's a great starting point for us here at TVC.
Thank you, Kevin. Enjoy your travels. Thanks for everything that you're doing for us here on Up North Sports Radio.
Hey, have a great one, and tvcairport.com.
There you go. So Terry and Valerie off to LCA for a great weekend, a great Saturday of sports, but they get 2 nights downtown. And if you didn't get in that contest, shame on you.
Yeah, no kidding. No Wings in the afternoon and the Pistons at night. You get a 2-night stay in a hotel. I mean, great. And it's so great downtown now. I mean, it's so awesome. Great restaurants.
No, they were all asking me for recommendations and everything else because both the winners and the folks that are going from the airport hadn't been in the D in a long time. I'm like, well, right around the corner from there is Bucharest. I don't know if you've ever been to
I've
Bucharest.
never been to
Grill.
Bucharest, no.
It is the most fantastic bargain restaurant that they have all these chicken what's the deer the chicken garlic
wings? I don't know.
No, shawarma. Chicken shawarma.
Oh, shawarma. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
So their chicken shawarma wraps are unbelievable. They have like 6 or 7 different
good.
types of sausages, and like you can eat like a king for $10.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice. You just won my heart.
there
right
you go. Yeah.
Eat like a king for $10. I'm in.
You cannot eat like a king inside of LCA for $10.
No, you cannot.
No,
You
that's the
cannot.
one thing I will say. A $5.99 hot and ready pizza in LCA is $10.99.
So fill up before you go in.
I was just going to say, and everybody buys the pizza. I'm like, I don't get it. I'm not, you know what? I'm not paying double for the pizza. I refuse to do it.
Because outside it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, no doubt
absolutely.
about it. We were just talking off air, Chad, that the Tigers made an interesting signing yesterday.
Yes, yeah, and I love this signing. It's infielder Gio Urshela, and they got him for
I think it's Urshela.
Urshela, okay, and they got him for $1.5 million.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And he can hit lefties really, really well. He's versatile. He can play a lot of different positions, which is good because there are some infield questions, no doubt. I mean, Torque is pretty much set at first base, and Baez will be your shortstop. But, I mean, because you're paying all that money. But, I mean, Colt Keith, I have huge hopes for him at second base, but he's still young.
Well,
he's
yeah.
still a kid,
I mean,
but,
he hasn't played.
we'll
Has
see.
he played an inning of Major League Baseball? No.
No, he has not. But you got McKinstry over there at third. You got Jung over at third. You got some options. But I think Urshela is probably going to be one of your best options at third base, especially against left-hand pitching. And you said a couple of years ago he hit 30.
Yeah, I was taking a look at this. Like, his career wins above replacement is 9.1. That's pretty good. And his career average is 277. Now, he hit 299 last year for the Angels, but with only 2 home runs. But let's be frank. When anybody is traded or signs as a free agent to the Los Angeles Angels, it's a bad career move.
It's a bad career move, yes, exactly. Unless you're hitting right behind one of those 2 fellas that were there,
His best home run year was in 2019 with the Yankees. That was when they went all the way to the American League Finals. He hit 21 home runs and had 74 RBIs then and hit 314.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's
so it's there. The bat's there.
There's no doubt about it. He had a couple of seasons with 14 and 15 home runs. Right around 65 ribbies. I don't know if he'll play every day for them. But, there was such a big question mark at third base.
Yeah.
There's a couple of free agents left out there. The one guy, the Tiger fans were screaming about, I can't remember his name right now. He played for the Rangers last year. He had a fantastic year. But the Tigers were not going to pony up $25 million.
Yeah, I mean, to break the bank with this young team, really you got to be all in on your young players right now. The Riley Greens, the Spencer Torkelsons, the Cole Keiths, you got to be all in on those guys. And really, that's kind of where we're going. We're signing guys like Mark Canna. We're signing guys like
Matt Chapman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's still 4 guys out there. Like I don't know if you saw the press release from the guy from the Red Sox. Like, we need more help. It's surprising that you've got Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery. Blake Snell is a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, and he's only like 31 or 32. He's out there. Jordan Montgomery's out there. Cody Bellinger is out there, and Matt Chapman. Now, these guys are going to get snagged up once spring training rolls around or they start playing games. But it's funny to have that kind of superstars still unsigned.
I'm surprised Bellinger's still out there, but I kind of like what the Tigers are doing, and if they can be competitive. I mean, 78-win season last year, second place in the Central. If they can be competitive, especially at the trade deadline, I would like to see them make a move then rather than right now. I like the moves that they're making. They got on paper. I realize it's all on paper and it's all these ifs, ands, and buts and everything else. But if they can play well enough to the trade deadline, give themselves a little bit of hope at that time.
Well, it's all going to depend on the pitching. You know, I mean, most baseball comes down to that anyways. But that's where the Tigers have put their stock in trade on all the draft picks. It's about time for these guys to produce. I have a little interview that I did a couple days ago with Daniela Bruce. She is the on-field reporter for the 97.1 who does all the baseball games. So let's hear what Daniela has to say from Lakeland. Welcome back to Friday Faceoff here on Up North Sports Radio. Jerry Coyne joined on the phone by Daniela Bruce, who is the broadcast reporter for the Detroit Tigers, joining us down from Lakeland. Good morning, Daniela. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I am standing out in the sunshine right now, not to rub it in or anything, but it's a sunny, beautiful day here in Lakeland.
Hey, it's a lifestyle, right? You get to be down there, but we get to dream of spring, right? And the first dream of spring starts with spring training.
That's right, it does. And the atmosphere feels that way around here, too. Lakeland, if you ever get a chance to come down here and visit Tiger Town and come to a spring training game, it's just such a great atmosphere. And the fans down here are electric. They're just like the fans back up in Detroit. So it's a lot of fun to be here. Everybody's excited. Players are excited to be here. A.J. Hinch was amped to be here this morning, too. Just a lot of fun things happening.
The last few years, the Tigers spring training tickets have been tough to get. Is that the case this year?
They are still a little bit tough to get, that's for sure. So if you do want to come down to a game, make sure you get on to the Tigers website and get those tickets as soon as you can, because they pack this house, and it's a lot of fun, and the weather is expected to be beautiful for the rest of the time. So you should get down here if you can.
Have they announced any of the pitching's lineups? I know we've got a game starting Saturday against the Yankees.
No, I have not seen pitching lineups confirmation yet, but they did throw some more bullpens today, so I'd imagine that would come within the next couple of days. We should know exactly who's starting on Saturday.
Just from what I've been reading in the paper, there's going to be some interesting competitions for starting spots, both on the pitching and fielding side. What are some of the players that you're kind of tuned into at the beginning of training?
Yeah, pitching is definitely going to be interesting, and so is the field. You're right. There's going to be competition everywhere, but I think you should keep your eyes on the guys like Reese Olson. He came in and played really well when he got called up last season. He pitched great at the end of the year for the Tigers. So that's a guy you've got to keep your eye on. Do they see him as one of the starting 5-6 in the rotation to start the year? Where does Matt Manning fall into place? Because he had some really unlucky injuries there last season.
No doubt.
Set him back a little bit. So where's he going to be as you get into this? And then, of course, Casey Mize coming off of the Tommy John surgery, and you hope that he can get right back into it and be in your top 5-6 rotation. So those are three guys on the pitching front that you should definitely keep your eye on that aren't solidified as the top pitchers on the team. And then I think in the field, some of the things you should really be watching out for. Number one, of course, is Colt Keith, right? He signs a big deal with the Tigers, one of the biggest deals of its kind, one of the only deals of its kind, actually, that the Tigers have ever signed with a player that has not stepped onto a major league field yet. So they have high expectations for him, obviously. So we need to see where he fits in during this spring training session. And then the new guys, right? You got to watch Mark Canha out there. Where's he going to slide in for the Tigers? And I didn't even mention Jack Flaherty, who's going to join that rotation for the Tigers, and Kenta Maeda. So there's a lot of really fun storylines to follow this year at spring training.
Yeah, Mize especially.
Yes.
Have you seen him throw it all yet?
Yes, I did see him throw a little bit today, and I watched him at the end of last season, which I know right now feels like it was a long time ago, but he was throwing the live BP sessions and the bullpen sessions at Comerica Park all year because he did his rehab in Detroit.
Yep.
So we got to see him through that entire process. He looked really good. The velo was up there. He looked stronger, more physically in shape. He's bigger now, 25 years old. He's a little bit older than he was when he first gets in the league. So he looks a little bit more built. He's stronger, and he was throwing really hard as we ended the season last year. So he should be ready to go. I think he's going to have an exciting season.
Well, he's going to be a key figure, of course. We've been watching him ever since we drafted him with our first pick a few years ago. Daniela Bruce is going to be joining us off and on during spring training. We're happy to have that. And I guess next time, Daniela, we'll see where we're at with the Wings because I know you're doing double duty.
Oh, that's right. They look pretty good right now, too, so fingers crossed for a playoff run.
Absolutely. We, of course, we broadcast both the Tigers and the Red Wings here on Up North Sports Radio. So thanks for filling us in from spring training. And hopefully bottle up some sunshine, send it up our way here in northern Michigan.
I'll bring some home with me. I'll do the best I can.
Okay, that's Daniela Bruce from the Detroit Tigers spring training in Lakeland, Florida. Yeah, Chad, I want to take a little bit more advantage of the 97.1 network.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get Dickerson on here in the next couple weeks. He's the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
he is awesome. And, we have, with Dan Miller and, with the Lions, Dan Dickerson with the Tigers, it's so much fun to listen to Tiger games. I look forward to, obviously growing up with Ernie, awesome. But Dan picked up right where he left off. It's
so God rest his soul, no Jim Price.
No Jim Price, no. And who do they replace him with?
It's going to be they don't have one single
carousel.
guy. They're going to have a carousel because who's the guy that does all the home games, but he's got a huge real estate business.
Andy Dirks.
Yeah.
I like Andy.
Yeah,
Andy
Dirks
does
a great job. In a perfect world, they'd love to have Dirks, but I don't think they can pay him enough because I guess he's killing it. He's selling real estate in the metropolitan Detroit area. So
right, I liked him as a player. He was a good utility outfielder, and love him as far as the color
first spring
analysis.
Training game is tomorrow. Unfortunately, because of the Red Wings, or not because of. I don't know how many people would prefer to hear the Tigers on the radio in a spring training game versus the Red Wings in a playoff hunt.
As much as I love baseball, it's my favorite sport. Right now the Red Wings have my heart because
it might get a little interesting because as the affiliate for both the Tigers and the Red Wings, we are contractually bound to play the Tigers in regular season before anything else. So they're both owned by the Illiches. I don't know if we get into a situation where we've got to play a Tigers very early season game over the Red Wings. We'll jump off that bridge when we get to it.
Might have to buy some of those 1099 hot and readies. Let's make it right. But yeah.
But Reese Olson, who was a tremendous find last year, is going to start on Saturday versus Luis Gil for the Yankees, and Fado is going to go on Sunday as the starter, and all those guys only pitch about 2 or 3 innings when they start out, and then Jack Flaherty, who they signed as a free agent.
Excited about him too, yeah. The whole rotation is really interesting, especially, and you just talked to Daniela about it. It's got to be the year of Casey Mize. He's got. this is kind of a make or break year, I think.
Well, same thing with Fado.
Yeah. Yep.
These are guys that we, used very, very high draft picks on that have, sustained injuries. Fado looked pretty good last year.
And Matt Manning, I don't know what his status is going to be.
He's penciled in as a projected starter right now. Right now, the projected starting pitching lineup for the Tigers, and obviously this is really fluid, is Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flaherty, Maeda, Matt Manning, and Reese Olsing. They don't have Mize penciled in yet because he's got to get some innings under his belt. And then, of course, you got Lang and Chafin, Joey Wentz. There was some pretty good arms out in the bullpen.
Out in the bullpen, which is good. And they're talking about Skubal as if he's the ace, right? I mean, is he going to be the opening day starter?
I don't know if it's going to be that or Kenta Maeda.
I mean, that's the big free agent signing. But yeah, I mean, everybody is like really high on Skubal. So,
yeah,
and they should be. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
he had
coming off the injury, and he's
had a no-hitter before that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I mean, definitely excited about the rotation. And
Manning pitched great, and he had those 2 freak broken foot accidents. So you got to get his feet out of the way of line drives. They're going to put a steel something in his shoe. I mean, it happened twice.
And who do they got closing for him? Yeah,
I don't. Lang is going to be the closer probably.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But Andrew Chafin's in there, and then they also signed Shelby Miller, who's a closer for the Angels. So the bullpen. Hey, look at the Tiger bullpen has been pretty dependable.
Yeah.
Even when they shipped all those guys out last year, and you're like, what's the bullpen going to be like? And they were, just as good as not better.
Next guy up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, they're very happy with the pitching. The pitching staff, the coach. What's his name? The guy that used to
Federer.
Yeah, Chris Federer.
Yep.
When they went out inside, I read an article about Jack Flaherty, who a couple years ago was a stud.
Yeah,
He was like a fourth in the Cy Young voting and everything else. And he kind of lost some zip on his fastball and everything else. And so when they first talked to Flaherty, Federer and AJ had done this whole breakdown on what was wrong with him. and what they would do to fix him. That was what they went with their pitch, not just like, here's $6 million, right? And the funny thing is that Flaherty had his own pitching coach, his own pitching team, which most of these guys have now, right? And they had almost the exact same thing, word for word, on what they were going to do to fix him. And Flaherty goes, "This is my spot.
It's the place."
So, and if they fix Flaherty, you're talking about 250 innings at right around a 3+ ERA. That's not going to look bad for your pitching staff.
No, absolutely not. But that's cool that he found the synergy there between his team and
Federer,
our team.
People rave about him. The same thing with Lorenzen. Lorenzen was a broken dude last year. He pitched beautifully for the Tigers. Went to the All-Star game. They flipped him out to Philadelphia. He's a free agent now. Well, and he pitched pretty well for Philadelphia. They went to the playoffs.
Too, did he?
Huh?
He had a no-hitter for Philly.
Yeah.
When he went over there.
It was the first start that he had.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. We were like, of course. Yeah, that's what happens.
We knew that was coming, right? So yeah, the best thing about spring training is in itself spring training, right?
Yep. We all feel good. We're all
cheap beers in the outfield.
Getting excited, and hope springs eternal. I get jacked this time of year every time. If I hear pitchers and catchers report, if I just hear those words, I start to get all excited. So looking forward to a great Tiger season.
Lindsay Southwell from Shanty Creek and Shush Mountain couldn't join us today, but she sent us some notes about the hang time. We've heard from so many people they are concerned about conditions on the hill. Shush Mountain is in great shape, and they are full-on spring skiing mode. And temperatures are dropping again, so it's going to be great. There might be a little snow in the air.
Nice.
Wanted to fill you guys in on the events that are happening at Shanty Creek. February 29th only comes around once every 4 years. Some call it leap year, but at Shanty Creek we call it Brad Day.
Brad Day.
Yeah, okay, so Brad Day.
Yeah, I need
so
to know
for
what that
any
is.
of you named Brad, or if you know of anyone named Brad, listen up. Though the origin of Brad Day is cloaked in mystery, the perks for anyone named Brad are no secret. If you are named Brad, on February 29th, you get free skiing, a free lift ticket, and free ski and snowboard rentals. $29 lodging. That's
Nice.
$100 to $150 off the rack rate, folks, per person per night, the night before Brad Day and Brad Day. Exclusive reserved for Brad section in Ivan's restaurant.
Nice.
Designated Brad-only restrooms at the Day Lodge. We will also be awarding prizes for the Brad who travels the farthest and the Brad who brings the most non-Brad friends.
Nice.
So Brad Pitt, listen up, buddy. I know you always listen to this.
Brad Holmes, the GM for the Lions. You know,
Is his name Brad?
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah,
No,
Brad,
it's
isn't
not.
it? Yeah,
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
We'll look that up.
All
Anyways,
right.
Brads of the World Unite. It's going to be an awesome day on the slopes. Visit shantycreek.com for all the information. Back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio, Friday Faceoff.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
The Red Wings feeling very good after their overtime winner last night. They gave them 3 straight wins, moving up in the playoff positions, and head coach Derek Lalonde explained why this year is different than last year's run that fell short.
We're deeper. Last year, I think it was a huge overachievement from the group. This year, it doesn't feel like that. I think we can win in different ways, depth at all 3 positions, and thankfully so.
Detroit plays an afternoon game tomorrow at home versus the Blues. Manager A.J. Hinch expected to get every Tiger projected starter a chance on the bump during spring games before the end of the month. Reese Olson gets honors tomorrow during their first exhibition against the Yankees. Casey Mize has been putting in the work as he efforts to return from a year and a half away due to injury. His latest task has been getting used to the pitch clock. And after being suspended for 3 games by the NBA, Pistons forward Isaiah Stewart has his court date today with a Phoenix judge over the physical alternation with a Suns player last week. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Tom and Levi.
Tom is the smartest man I know. He's been a professor at 2 major universities, been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, he told me that he was having problems in his classes. I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. And he was telling them that he was doing it as a favor to them, but I think in reality, he just wanted to get out of there. I was really starting to worry because I saw something was wrong.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me, and my love for him was just immense.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Well, welcome back to Friday Face-Off on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by TVC Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne, Chad Patterson in studio, missing our beloved third member, Rich Calkins, who is going to be walking his daughter down the aisle tomorrow.
I will never know how that feels.
I was going to say, you'll never have that opportunity. Yeah. It's an amazing thing.
Well, I just saw the former head coach of the Grayling Vikings, Rich Moffat. I saw him do that New Year's Eve weekend,
right?
And I got choked up. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, Rich only had daughters. He had 2 daughters, and he's already done it once. I only had 1 daughter, and it's very emotional. There's no doubt about it. Especially since I got up and made a speech, and then we had the dance, and I think the most emotional part of it for me was the fact that I personally know 3 guys who passed away before they were able to dance with their daughters at their weddings, and that's probably what was most meaningful to me. It's Absolutely. One of those checklists in life
Marquee
that
moments,
not everybody is promised. You're not promised it for whatever reason. But I mean, then again, you didn't live with a daughter in your house for 20 years or whatever. So, anyways, we wish Rich and his whole family the best.
Yeah, great weekend.
So, what the hell happened to Michigan State against Iowa?
Well, I'll tell you what.
That was home.
That was home. I know.
Talk about this. I had to double check. Because so many teams are losing on the road. It's unbelievable. Like, the percentage this year is so out of whack for top 25 teams losing on the road. They're like, the winning percentage for top 25 teams on the road is under 40%. traditionally
crazy,
it's
yeah.
like 60%, 60 to 70%.
Yeah,
So-
it's been crazy. Michigan State, it's down low. I mean, the down in the post, they're not getting it done. And I mean, Walker and Hall are scoring the points, but really, you just the Big Ten tournament's going to be a mess for them. I mean, they're not going to be able to. I mean, you're going to go against guys like Zach Edey, and it's hopefully they get that far, and it's just going to be tough sledding because they just can't get it done down in the low post.
The amazing thing, Chad, was the fact that they were winning.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave the game away with 7 minutes left to go, and that shouldn't happen at home.
No, and they got Ohio State at home on Sunday. Should be a win.
I don't know. They just beat Purdue.
And with the new interim coach, every time when you bring in an interim coach and you fire the coach, there's always that, there's this new life that you breathe into a team. And there can be, and there seems to be with those Ohio State teams. So beware, Michigan State.
Well, they don't have it easy.
Motivated. Yeah.
Okay, so they've got Ohio State, which you said should be a win.
Should be a
it's
win.
at home. Then they got to go to Purdue. I cannot imagine a scenario that they win that basketball game.
I can't either.
And then Northwestern comes to Michigan State. Northwestern is really a better team than Michigan State.
They are.
They're better by record.
They beat Michigan last night.
They ran Michigan. Well, they didn't run Michigan out of the gym. Actually, Michigan, for everything that's going on with Michigan, played a pretty decent basketball game. But I love Northwestern.
Yeah,
they have the second best player in the league, Boo Buie.
Boo Buie. He wasn't even
Chris Collins is doing a fantastic job. They've got some really nice other pieces. I wouldn't be surprised to see Northwestern into the second week of the tournament.
I wouldn't either. They could definitely make a run. And the Big Ten in general, I mean, I'm going through my bracketology here. I mean, the Big Ten in general really doesn't seem, outside of Purdue, doesn't seem like they have a team that could maybe go all the way in the
Illinois,
Big Dance.
I don't know if Illinois can make it to the Final Four or not. What really is crazy about what's going on when we talk about all these teams losing on the road, great teams losing on the road, well, every game is on the road in the tournament.
Exactly.
So what the hell is going to happen? Is it put everybody on even footing or, and then, crazy things are happening all over the place. Arizona lost at home last night, to Washington State.
And that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Go Cougars. My nephew graduated from there. But yeah, it's crazy to watch. And I've been watching, and I know you probably have too. This New Mexico team is really kind of exciting. Richard Pitino's the coach.
Went from
Jamal
Minnesota.
Mashburn Jr.
Yeah.
and and I heard him talking about, and You Better You Bet, they were talking about him the other day, and they were saying, hey, throw a few bucks on these. I mean, they're probably going to go in as like maybe between a 10 and 12 seed, and what are they, fourth place in whatever that Mountain West or whatever it is.
Yeah, Mountain West. They're projecting the Mountain West to get 6 teams this year. The Mountain West has played really good basketball. Nevada's good, and there's some very interesting leagues. I mean, the Big 12. I mean, you could make a case for just about every team in the Big 12 making it into the tournament. And then on the other side of the coin, so to speak, you've got the last Pac-12 basketball tournament of all time.
Yeah, because that's all going to.
My Bruins are playing markedly better basketball, but they're going to have to probably make it to the finals of the Pac-12 tournament to make it into the NCAA tournament. They're playing way better basketball. They played so bad in the beginning of the year, but Mick Cronin has now got them playing defense, and some of these European players are starting to understand how to play American basketball. So, and there's some traditional teams. Look, Michigan is certainly not going to make the tournament.
No.
I don't even see – I can't even give them
an NIT bid?
a breaths of a chance of winning, making that power run through the Big Ten tournament. This is not going to happen.
No.
I don't even know if they allow Doug McDaniel to
I was
play
gonna
in
say,
the
that's
tournament.
Indianapolis, right? Can he cross a border?
But Gonzaga is right on the line.
Which is weird because
St. Mary's
he's
is at
had
the
them in
top of
there.
that division. So, this will be the first time in like 14 years Gonzaga hasn't made the tournament. So it might even be longer than that.
Yeah, which is weird because he has them. That's one of the romantic picks every year,
yeah.
right? Like, Gonzaga's they got to win it this year, right? I would always pick Gonzaga
And the
or
ACC
Kansas every year.
is going to be lucky to get 4 teams in. They're projecting 6 for the Big Ten. I'm like, okay. So without looking at the record or anything else, obviously Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern. Who the hell else? Michigan State? I think they're counting on Michigan State to make it in.
They still have some work to do, though. The bracketology has them, at a 10 seed. But, after that loss to Iowa at home, a huge marquee win would be a win at Mackey. They're not going to do that. Wisconsin, that's the other team I was going to mention.
Yeah, and Nebraska is 9-7 and 19-8. They've been great. And talk about a home court advantage. Yeah. Nobody beats Nebraska in Nebraska. No. Nobody.
They have played extremely well. And, of course, we hear about that here in the office from Tanya. She lets us know when Nebraska won. And let us know when Creighton won.
Creighton's good.
Creighton's
been good for a number of years. That's Omaha.
I was this many years old when I found out Creighton was in Nebraska. I had no idea. I always thought Creighton was just some school on the East Coast. And little did I know that where Kyle Korver went to school was in the middle of Nebraska. I had no
There
clue.
you go.
Doug McDermott.
You get a 10-point donut for the Kyle Korver reference.
Well, we did have me and Nicholas had to look it up the other day. We were like, who played for Creighton? We had to try to remember it. I was like, Kyle Korver, the good 3-point shooters out of Creighton.
When we return, we are contractually obligated to mention the Pistons, and we'll take a look at high school sports. All that and more here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport.
Listen, do you hear that? That's the sound of wide open spaces at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. The sound of laughter coming from the Alpine Tubing Park. The sound of splashing in the pool. The sound of shushing down Shush Mountain. Here we go outside to play. When it's time for you to enjoy the wide open spaces of northern Michigan, Shanty Creek will be there to welcome you with over 275 lodging options, 42 downhill ski and snowboard runs, and plenty of outdoor fun in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
It's time to get away to your dream destination. Beat the winter and fly TVC to Sun and Sand. Looking for your spring break getaway? Book today. Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United are getting you where you want to go. Visit tvcairport.com for up-to-the-minute flight schedules.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Hi folks, Jim Jeffries for Michigan Trailers in Traverse City, Northern Michigan's volume leading utility trailer dealer. We have over 200 trailers in stock from America's top brands including SureTrack, Impact, Cargomax, and now offering Air Tow. All clearly marked at volume value pricing. Add to that full service, parts, plus accessories, and Michigan Trailers can solve all your hauling needs. See us today on US 31 South across from Menards, Traverse City, or visit us online at michigantrailers.com.
Make sure you're in the stands at Roscommon High School for the Project Graduation Dodgeball Matches, Friday, February 23rd.
Got to learn to do the dance and the dodge.
Cheer on your favorite competitor, school staff versus the Roscommon High School alumni, and Roscommon County first responders versus law enforcement.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Get to Roscommon High School Friday, February 23rd at 7 o'clock. It's just $5 and children under 5 are free. Raffles, concessions, and side games, all to benefit the class of 2024. Project Graduation.
It is.
Welcome back to Friday Face-Off on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne in studio live with Chad Patterson. Just two of us today, but luckily our jaws are a-flapping. Not a lot of jaws flapping about the Pistons, although they're playing a little bit better basketball. It'll be interesting to see, Chad, maybe this is just me because everybody I talk to up here, they're like, you followed the Detroit Pistons?
Well, I mean,
I love Pistons basketball. I don't know if you watched any of this Indiana Glory show that they made for the All-Star break because, the game was in Indiana. So they had an hour-long discussion between Larry Bird, Reggie Miller, and Isaiah Thomas, the three of them.
Oh, wow, okay.
And there's some pretty...
That sounds good.
It is. It's still, you can still tell that Bird is not really a big fan of Isaiah's.
I can imagine.
But Bird's not a big fan of anybody's.
Well, especially
he really
from that
is.
team.
Yeah. No, he's just not that kind of guy. He doesn't dole out a lot of compliments. He knows how good he was in basketball. And, he thinks he got screwed by injuries and everything else, which is probably accurate because...
He's ultra competitive.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. He's been, bumped off the Mount Rushmore. I don't know where you put Larry Bird in the greatest of all players. He's in the top 15.
Most definitely.
But there's no way you could put him in the top 5. And the question of the day is, who do you think is a better basketball player, Bird or Magic?
Well...
I'd say so too because
I
played against him and I knew him.
Yeah, and I grew up watching him right down the road from my house. So yeah, but I would definitely say Magic was the more versatile player too. And
Bird.
Bird
Bird's stats.
yeah, I got it.
He wasn't a triple-double machine, but he had a number of triple-doubles, and the thing that you say most about Bird and Magic, their biggest comparison is they did whatever it took to win. If Bird had to get 20 rebounds, he got 20 rebounds. Same thing with Magic. If Magic had to have 50 assists, he got 50 assists. And Bird was the same. Bird stole the ball.
I remember.
I'm just saying, but
very well.
That is the total antithesis of Larry Bird. That game was over, and Bird makes the steal, and the Pistons don't go to the finals that year. Strictly on that play.
Passes it to Dennis Johnson, and Dennis Johnson makes the layup, and yes.
Stole it from Isaiah. Now, he never brought that up in this discussion.
But let's go to the tape.
Hey, look, Isaiah Thomas was a brilliant basketball player. And, nothing in the world was better than that 4 or 5 year of Celtic Piston basketball.
My God. So good.
And then Chicago coming in. But, it was cool with Chicago, but I don't think it was anywhere near as compelling as the Boston Piston thing.
No, my dad would sneak out of bed at night, during those games, and because he would go to bed really early. He worked for GM, and that was some of my favorite memories was watching those Celtic Piston games with my dad and just like staying up and just taking them all in.
My son Nick says he remembers it, but he couldn't because he was like 2 years old sitting on the couch with me, and because my ex would come in and like, are you going to put him to bed? Well, he'll sleep if he wants to.
No, he's up. He's into it. Yeah. So good. Such great memories. I'll have to check that out, see if that's available. Indiana Glory.
It's on TNT.
Okay.
They've been running it quite a bit.
Right on.
And, and Reggie does a pretty decent job. He, the interesting thing about Reggie, he played for the Pacers the whole time. Isaiah played at IU and Bird at Indiana State. But both Bird and Isaiah at one point in time coached or managed the Pacers.
Yes. Yeah.
And they talk about this story in it that Larry fired Isaiah. They made Donnie Walsh hired Bird to be president of the Pacers. And the Pacers had gone to the playoffs with Isaiah a couple years in a row, and they tell the story. Larry calls Isaiah into his office and goes, Isaiah, I really love what you've done with the team, and this is nothing against you, but you're fired. and
it's nothing against you.
Nothing against you. I like Rick Carlisle better. That's what Isaiah said. No, Isaiah tells the story, so you have to watch it. But He goes, Larry, I think you're making a big mistake. I think, the team's getting better with you and I together. We can do amazing things. He goes, I like Rick Carlisle as a person better than you. And you know what? What I know of Isaiah, I knew Isaiah a little bit. He's a despicable human being. So Larry couldn't have been. I knew Rick Carlisle. I used to actually have drinks with Carlisle when he coached the Pistons. He used to hang out at the same bar that I met Cheryl in, and so we talked basketball quite a bit. He'd come in after the Piston game because he was living in downtown Birmingham on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and he and I and a couple other guys, we just talk basketball, and he got a raw deal from the Pistons too.
Yeah.
But look he's still in the league. He's back coaching the Pacers again.
I was going to say, who was the coach during the Tayshaun Prince block of Reggie Miller? That was Carlisle's team, wasn't it? That was the 04. I mean, wasn't it?
I'm not. It wasn't quite LB. No, that was after Larry Brown.
Okay, after Larry Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, I just remember that was one of my favorite plays involving Reggie Miller was Tayshaun Prince. Reggie Miller just thought he had a breakaway layup, and Tayshaun didn't give up on the play and caught up with it.
Tayshaun was a great, very fine player.
Well, we talked about it earlier. That's the last team. Like that, those five guys, just a great job of coming together and winning that championship in 04. But yeah, I'll have to check that out because that is an era in basketball. Like it's really hard for me to watch NBA games now and to get as excited as I got back in the 80s and 90s. It's just not the same game. Me and Scott Nicholas talk about this. We just talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's just the NBA is just not as engaging as it was back in those days. And I know I sound like the old man. Get off my lawn.
Because I think the level of play in the NBA right now is fantastic, and it's as we're chugging towards the playoffs, it's just going to get that much more interesting. You've got so Carlisle was, Doug Collins coached from 96 to 98, and then Gentry was this is in between the Chuck Daly years and the Larry Brown years. So LB was the coach in 2004, 2005.
Yep.
Got run out of town.
Won the championship, though.
Yeah. Carlisle was right before him.
Yep, and then Carlisle got the raw deal. Yeah. He had the team built.
He ticked off.
It was a Gruden-Dungy situation.
Yeah. The coaches between Chuck Daly, Ron Rothstein came in for a little bit, and then Don Chaney.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Collins, Alvin Gentry, George Irvin, and then Carlisle and Brown. Flip Saunders was a good guy.
Oh, Flip Saunders. Yeah.
Then a whole bunch of guys named Mo.
And now we have Monty.
Yeah, it's time for the Fick & Sons High School Sportscape Show. Fick & Sons proudly supports all local Northern Michigan athletes. For all your propane needs, contact Fick & Sons, local, competitive, reliable. Check out them at fickandsons.com. And Chad, unfortunately, not only is Rich Calkins missing today, but our good friend James Cook is away on family business. I was trying to get his partner in crime, Brendan Queeley, on, but Brendan never responded to my email. So another Vikings victory last night.
Yeah, 5 in a row, and last night was a little bit more nip and tuck than we would have wanted.
It was surprising.
On paper, it really looked like, Inland Lakes was,
they just got run out of the gym a couple of
nights ago.
And they lost 74 they lost by like 45 points.
But
I guess they had a little burr in their saddle.
Well, they had a burr in their saddle, and they have a kid named Cash who was money last night. This kid was unconscious shooting the ball, and I talked to the coaches at Inland Lakes afterwards. I said, that's the best three-point shooter we've seen all season. He's like, they were all like, he's never shot like that.
Yeah, one of those
in
nights.
Fact, he hasn't practiced all week because he's in driver's training. He hasn't had one practice this week. The kid lights it up for unofficially seven 3-pointers in the second half. Single-handedly brought his team back. It wasn't like Grayling was playing badly. Tristan Demlow had 24 points last night. Ethan Kaharick had 20. Fletcher Quinlan had 13. So you had those 3 players in double figures and a bunch of others chipping in, 4 points here, 5 points there. And they played really, really well, especially on defense. But this kid kept shucking it up. And they were going
open.
He was open. And he wasn't open. I mean, it was, that was Mike McLean's Ace Hardware key to the game was they got to close in on the shooters because one thing we heard about Inland Lakes was they can shoot the rock from the 3-point line. And we didn't even hear about this kid. This was not the kid we heard about.
What the hell's going on here?
But his name was Cash, and like I said, he was.
Cash money, baby.
That's what we kept saying all night, and we didn't know how to pronounce his last name. It was, he ended up with 24 points. And 7 of those were 3-pointers. The other one was he had some free throws that he hit in there. But played really, really well.
It doesn't matter. They stacked up with some adversity. That's 5 in a row now for Grayling?
Yep. And they did really,
They have
really
righted
well.
the ship.
Yep.
Congratulations to them. I heard your post-game interview. And, the 2 guys, the 2 kids that you talked to after the game, both recognize that there is a different attitude on the team now. Practices are more fun.
Yep.
Hey, what did Nuke Lelouch say? Winning, man.
Yeah, winning, man.
Beats losing.
which is true. Winning.
This just did.
winning solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But when I was trying to get down to the bottom of, and I asked all 3 of them, including Coach Meade, was there a moment? Was there an event, something that happened, some kind of spark? And, all of them, to their credit, they said there really wasn't a moment. There was that East Jordan game, which East Jordan's a team that they should have beat at East Jordan as well.
Yeah.
And, but EJ just, much like last night, shot the ball extremely well. They had Lucas Stone hit his first 6 3-pointers in that game. And Grayling never got off the bus,
I've been talking about this for years. Keith Gave sometimes would corner me about, something more in depth on why this team lost. And I go, look at the shooting percentage.
Exactly.
A lot of times it's just you made your shots, the team that you played, and you guys did not. And sometimes basketball is that elemental.
Yep.
Sometimes there's underlying circumstances there. You didn't put enough defensive pressure on. You gave up too many rebounds. You got, there's still, if you have a wide disparity in possessions, there's a good chance you're going to lose.
Exactly.
But if you have the ball as much as they do, and you shoot 35% and they shoot 60%, you're going down. It's pretty simple.
Well, thank goodness Grayling had built up a 9 to 10 point lead last night because it closed fast.
But they didn't panic.
No, they didn't, and that's the difference between the team now and the team 3 weeks ago.
But might it have been different if it was on the road?
Yeah. Well, it was on the.
Was
it? Last night was in Inland Lakes.
So
yeah. Yep.
I forgot that.
The quietest gym I've ever been in. They didn't cheer. This kid is shooting the lights out. If I had been Cash DePaul, I would have turned around.
Well, if you were doing the highlights,
Cash! Do you see what I'm doing here? I would have looked at the crowd. I would have said, I just hit my 7th straight, 3-pointer. I would have made a big deal about it. They have a big kid, too, on that team. And he plays Schoonmaker, Sam Schoonmaker. He was in double figures in the first half. He played really, really well. I think they could make a little noise. They got Alcona in their district, do the Inland Lakes Bulldogs, but they can make some noise. They should be able to make it to the final and see what happens there because they got some talented players.
Our broadcast partners, Traverse City West, squeaked out a 63-60 win against Petoskey. So they continue their winning ways. That was probably a little bit too close for comfort as well.
I bet.
I wish we had Rich here. I know Rich did the game before he went down state for the wedding. So, as I said, West continues their winning ways. Gaylord ran into the buzzsaw known as Cadillac.
We passed the Cadillac bus.
Oh, did you?
Last night when we were coming home from Inland Lakes.
Well, Gilo's been on a heater, but not so. I don't know if he scored 40 of the 41 points that Gaylord had.
That's all they scored.
I have a funny feeling he didn't.
No,
because that Cadillac team plays some serious defense, and so Cadillac beat Gaylord 68-41.
Wow, we've talked about Cadillac before. They their shortest kid is like 6'3", right? I mean,
they have
or their starters.
They've got a lot of length, but one of their starters I think is 5'11". But yeah, they are an excellent defensive team. They're very, very good. As far as the rest of the scores go, some McBain, who's playing great year, they trampled Lake City 80-37.
Wow.
Yeah. Claire handled Harrison pretty easily. Chad 62-33. No score on the Sanford Meridian Farwell game, who's had
Sanford
Meridian's playing really good basketball.
And that usually ends up in our region. If they get through districts, so
in a tight ball game, Joburg Lewiston beat Gaylord 30-26.
Gaylord St. Mary's.
Gaylord St. Mary's,
okay.
Yeah. In the West Michigan Conference, D Conference, Bear Lake lost to Marion pretty handily, 77-49, and in the there was a number of interesting out-of-conference games, like Roscommon lost to Bel Air 60-42. Mansalona has had a real up-and-down season, but they got taken care of by Charlevoix 65-37.
Wow, that's a surprising score. I would imagine that. I mean,
Mansalona is starting to show their effects. You saw them play
early in the season.
They had started out the season really well, but they don't have a lot of what is there? 8 kids on the team.
Yeah. That was kind of Inland Lakes' issue too. Is depth.
Short bench.
Yep.
And then Mansalona could have lost a player to injury, and then that really is going to throw a monkey wrench in. When Cadillac played Wayne Memorial in that showcase, they were missing one of their starters.
Yeah.
And it's a short bench anyway. So, Wayne Memorial didn't have too much trouble. You remember us talking about that. The other fact was that their one star missed so many free throws. I think I mentioned the Glen Lake beat Kalkaska 68-44. Boyne Falls beat Pelston.
Wow. That's
58-52. Yeah. A surprising score there. And there's a couple in the Highland Conference. Roscoe beat Pine River 45-27. Manton peeled Horton Lake 74-58. And Everett beat Reed City 56-33. The Lake Michigan Conference, St. Francis lost to Harbor Springs by a point, 36-35.
That would have been a good game. Low scoring too, 36-35.
Yeah. Well, Traverse City will play any style they possibly can to get a win.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
Yeah.
Sean's a great coach, and Flynn's a great coach too. I mean, both of those guys matching wits is that's got to be pretty interesting to watch. The guard play in that game had to be fun.
This is all going to show up as a positive for St. Francis next year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're a young team rebuilding, and I'm kind of glad they're out of our conference because they're.
Let's not have that discussion.
I know. They're gonna. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want them in our conference. There was no better feeling than watching Grayling beat them for finally. So.
And you have a game tonight.
Yeah, we had a girls' game tonight. Man, I'm not even sure.
Grayling is at home versus Harbor Springs.
Yeah, Harbor Springs. Yep. And Harbor Springs, they lost by 2 points up there to Harbor Springs, and Harbor Springs is talented.
Yeah, they've got a couple of real good shooters.
Well, they got Flynn's daughter, Aaliyah. Yeah, she's really
good.
But
maybe some home cooking will be. I mean, the Grayling gals have had a really good season.
Yep.
And, this would be some icing on the cake. The entire Lake Michigan girls are in conference tonight. Point City's at Charlevoix, Elk Rapids is at East Jordan, and Kalkaska is at St. Francis. So full slate of gals games. McBain is visiting Lake City. We talked about this earlier, Chad, that, the traditional boys game on Friday this year has been usurped by the ladies.
Well, this is our snow going game. So usually that's a boys game that that's what they call it up here, homecoming. But it's the snow going game. You're going to have the princess and prince and kings and queens and everything else.
Spit it out there, buddy.
Introduced at halftime. The court. That's what I'm looking for.
Hey,
snow
very
going
briefly.
Court,
How did Parents' Night go? That was Tuesday night?
Yeah, that was very good. Yep, Parents' Night. What was really cool was what they did before the game. They introduced all the parents of all the JV players and varsity players. They don't usually do that. Usually it's just the varsity, I think. They're trying to unify. Obviously, with the fifth quarter, players, you get a lot of those JV players who play in the varsity games now. So really unifying the two programs, I think, is really, really cool. And it went really well. You know what it's like to go through Parents' Night. It's emotional, it's especially for the seniors. You've watched, you watch your daughter play hockey all those years and everything else. My son was 4-year varsity soccer player, and
sucks when you lose that game.
So yeah. And
I mean,
it is tough.
Grayling won that game, but.
Yep.
Joe's senior night at St. Mary's football, they lost that football game, and it's a toughie.
It's killer.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's that last
just
one.
to round out the girls' action that's happening tonight, Cadillac is playing at Gaylord. Petoskey's at Traverse City West. Alpena's at Traverse City Central. And in the Jack Pine Conference, Gladwin is at Beaverton. Harrison is at Clare. Sanford Meridian at Farwell. And Pinconning at Shepherd. So... lots of basketball. Still, Grayling are they done? They start the districts next week, right?
Yeah, Grayling boys are all done with their regular season. They start Monday at Kingsley. They will be playing Kingsley, and it's a non-traditional district. So if they win, they go to the Sioux on Wednesday.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So it's, and then you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but if they win in the Sioux, they get to host a game on Friday.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
so they get to host a final.
That's always a little wacky.
Yeah, it's strange, but and then the girls have one more game on Tuesday. They play McBain.
That's going to do it for the Fick & Sons High School Sportscape Show. Fick & Sons is your local, competitive, and reliable propane provider, but so much more than propane. They also provide home heating fuel for residential and commercial customers, from Charlie's Country Corner right off 4 Mile Road on I-75 outside of Grayling that has an Arby's, a convenience store, a Super 8 by Wyndham, and their full-service diesel garage. In Roscommon, they have the Sunny Spot Fuel and Convenience Store. If you're in and around Kalkaska, stop into Bear Lakes Marathon. They have a full liquor department and fantastic pizza. In Whittemore is the Crossroads Sitco's, offering gas to include diesel and racing fuel, snacks, drinks, and an excellent deli. They also offer propane cylinder refills and exchanges. Fick & Sons, expanding their services throughout northern Michigan. Check out everything they have to offer by going to fickandsons.com. Back to CBS Sports.
4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
If you're like most people, you've had your fair share of financial questions. Questions like, can I afford my son's travel hockey team? What if my daughter doesn't get that soccer scholarship? Will I be able to enjoy golf in retirement? At Empower, we know these questions can be stressful. We're here to help answer your what ifs and empower what's next. Join 18 million Americans and take control of your financial future. Start today at empower.com. Sponsored by Empower Personal Wealth.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is, when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
The weather is brought to you by Consumers Energy. Change is more reliable energy for homes and businesses across Michigan. Consumers Energy knows keeping the lights on is job number one. From tree trimming and burying lines to new technology, they have a plan for fewer and shorter outages. You can count on Consumers Energy.
Happy Friday, it's Top 910 meteorologist Haley Fischetti, and here's a look at today's forecast. Partly cloudy skies across the region, but it is feeling much colder today with highs only in the mid-teens to low 30s. Going to be a cold one, especially with those gusty winds from the north-northwest around 10 to 20 miles per hour. Your wind chills are going to feel even colder. We are looking at some lake effect snow mostly in the upper peninsula and parts of the northern lower. Everyone else could see a flurry, but staying pretty dry. Tonight, partly cloudy skies will stick around with some limited lake effect showers as winds also calm down, but your lows are in the single digits to low 20s. Tomorrow, we slowly start to warm up, but we'll have all the details on 9 and 10 News.
Businesses with tax problems. Listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
The IRS, the world's most aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
Welcome back to Writer Than You.
When I was in college, I had just started dating this girl, and she invited me to her sister's wedding. I'm like, I don't want to go to her. I just met her. I don't want to go to her. So I told her I had to study for finals. And then my brother and I played an entire Madden 2000 season, and I tape recorded the Super Bowl. We both made it, and I beat my brother pretty handily. And when she got back, forgetting, because I was in college and I was stupid, I said, oh my God, I beat my brother. So look, we played the whole season.